What if the future of solar energy was already here but hiding a surprisingly fragile secret? Imagine a material so efficient it could outperform the best silicon solar cells. Yet so delicate, a tiny flaw could unravel its immense potential. This isn't science fiction. It's the drama unfolding behind the rise of perovskite solar cells, a breakthrough that's driving the next wave of the global clean energy revolution. Today, we'll pull back the curtain on how this miracle material could change the world's energy map, and why its Achilles heel may threaten billions in investments and the fate of solar progress itself. Before we get swept away by the excitement of record-shattering efficiency, let's rewind. For over 50 years, silicon reigned supreme in the solar world. Its dominance was built on reliability, scalability, and slowly rising efficiency. But in the relentless search for cheaper, more powerful, and versatile alternatives, scientists stumbled upon an unlikely hero, perovskites. Named after the Russian mineralogist Lev Perovsky, perovskite refers to a unique crystal structure rather than a specific chemical. In the early 2010s, researchers discovered that certain synthetic perovskite compounds could convert sunlight to electricity with unprecedented ease. Almost overnight, perovskites leapfrogged decades of incremental progress. In less than a decade, they surged from barely 3% efficiency to rivaling the world's best silicon cells at over 26%. The speed of this progress stunned even hardened industry veterans. A new world record every year, sometimes multiple times a year, marveled one analyst at PV magazine. The promise was irresistible. A low-cost material made with simple solution-based processes, printable on flexible sheets, adaptable for windows, buildings, cars, even clothing. The vision? Solar power everywhere, for everyone. But as labs raced to set new efficiency marks, a persistent shadow haunted every breakthrough: stability. Unlike the rock-solid silicon wafers you can toss around a lab bench, perovskite cells often degraded with alarming speed, sometimes within hours or days in the real world. Enter the 2D, 3D perovskite revolution. Researchers theorized that layering two-dimensional perovskites atop the three-dimensional active layer could act as an ultra-thin shield, blocking out moisture, oxygen, and other enemies of solar performance. The result? Hybrid 2D, 3D perovskite cells boasting spectacular efficiency and promising lifespans, at least in theory. Just last year, an international team led by MIT announced a device with a 25.9% power conversion efficiency, on par with the best silicon cells, while maintaining over 91% of its output after 1,000 hours of grueling sunlight exposure in the lab. The trick? A novel multi-component mixed solvent method to grow especially pure crystalline 2D layers on the cell's surface, topped with a gold electrode and a next-generation dopant-free hole transport layer, HTL. As lead scientist Sean Tan put it, having high-quality 2D perovskites is key to its robustness. These new approaches used spiro-omitad layers, but crucially, without the dopants like lithium or TBP that usually cause the cells to fall apart at higher temperatures. The achievement stunned the solar community. In parallel, other teams reported perovskite silicon tandem cells surpassing 33% efficiency, and even flexible perovskite devices hitting above 18%. Industry insiders buzzed about an imminent market shakeup. Could perovskite conquer everything, from cheap rooftop panels to bendable phone chargers? But behind the record numbers lurked an irony that made leading researchers uneasy. Sean Tan, reflecting on months of painstaking experiments, remarked, "2D perovskites are supposed to protect the 3D perovskite layer, but can ironically be even more fragile." This comment rocked the field. The supposed shield, it turned out, could be the weakest link. Why? To understand, let's look under the microscope. The magic bullet for perovskite cell longevity was meant to be the 2D interlayer, an ultra-thin, molecule-flat barrier designed to block invaders like water and oxygen from the sensitive 3D perovskite beneath. But, as Tan's team and others discovered, these 2D crystals must be absolutely defect-free and highly pure, or they degrade faster than what they're supposed to protect. Worse still, the process to make these perfect 2D layers is fiendishly delicate. Mix the wrong solvents, introduce just a trace of impurity or crystal misalignment, and you end up with a perovskite that's beautiful under the microscope but brittle in the real world. The device might record a lab efficiency for a few weeks or months, only to fall apart under sunlight, temperature swings, or humidity. Leading experts began to voice concerns. An industry analyst observed, "Stability issues remain a key challenge for perovskite solar cell commercialization." The lab is not the real world. The jump from months of simulated sunlight to 20 years outdoors is a leap as big as the one Perovskites made in efficiency. Complicating matters further is the dark side of Perovskite chemistry: lead. Most record-breaking Perovskite cells rely on lead-based compounds, sparking environmental and regulatory alarm bells. A researcher at the U.S. Department of Energy's National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, warned, "Reducing lead toxicity is essential for the widespread adoption of Perovskite solar cells." Some progress is being made. Tandem structures, new dopant-free hole transport layers, and different solvent approaches have all improved both efficiency and longevity. For example, an inventive use of self-assembled monolayers, SAMs, as an interlayer can reduce voltage loss and protect the active layer, while organic semiconductors can tweak the energy alignment for better charge extraction. But every innovation brings its own set of trade-offs: complexity, cost, or new vulnerabilities. Perhaps most telling are the rigorous stability tests now demanded by both regulators and investors. Not so long ago, 100 hours of operation was hailed as a breakthrough. Now, devices must withstand thousands of hours of real-world abuse, ultraviolet light, extreme temperatures, and fluctuating humidity, without losing performance or leaking hazardous materials. And the results? Some unsealed Perovskite devices have shown promise, retaining 80% of their output after a month in humid air. Yet investors remain skittish, remembering past hype cycles that collapsed when lab results fizzled in the field. The business world eyes Perovskite startups warily. Will they be the next billion-dollar unicorns, or go the way of clean tech flameouts? Meanwhile, the promise of Perovskite silicon tandem cells, already breaking efficiency records, hangs in the balance. Can these ultra-high-performing cells be scaled up for rooftop installations, massive solar farms, or the front of skyscrapers? Or will they remain laboratory curiosities, trapped by their own fragility? Every new headline brings another surge of optimism, followed by new reminders of just how complex the quest for practical, durable, and eco-friendly Perovskite solar energy really is. And yet, the solar world is holding its breath. Will a single breakthrough, perhaps a new interlayer process, a novel formulation, or a radical manufacturing leap, finally break the deadlock? Or, as the stakes rise and the pressure grows, will the hidden fragility at the core of Perovskite technology derail the clean energy revolution before it even begins? So, with the stage set, ultra-high efficiency, electrifying scientific progress, but a series of daunting obstacles, let's look to the horizon. Where do Perovskite solar cells go from here? What hangs in the balance if scientists crack the code or if they hit a dead end? Imagine a world where your entire roof, your car, even your windows, are quietly generating electricity from nearly invisible, highly efficient solar coatings. That's the promise of Perovskite technology, if we can make it stable enough, safe enough, and cheap enough. The opportunity is massive. Solar panels that are lighter than ever, flexible, and tunable in color or transparency. Skyscrapers could turn their glass facades into generators. Portable solar chargers could be rolled out like a yoga mat. Even satellites and drones could be powered by ultra-lightweight solar sheets. But as the future rushes toward us, a storm of uncertainty still swirls. The most celebrated Perovskite devices, those record-smashing champions exceeding 25% or even 33% efficiency, have lived only inside the controlled calm of laboratory conditions. When UV light, humidity, temperature swings, and oxygen team up in the real world, these devices all too often stumble. One of the big surprises, revealed by MIT's Sean Tan and his international team, was that the supposedly protective 2D Perovskite interlayer, meant to seal and shield the fragile 3D Perovskite, can itself be brittle, sometimes even more so than the layer it's built to protect. 2D Perovskites are supposed to guard the 3D Perovskite, but ironically, they can be even more fragile, Tan admitted. This is a glaring paradox, and it's reshaping how researchers think about device architecture. If the shield cracks, the sword is exposed. But the future isn't all gloom. The same international team, collaborating across MIT, South Korea, Turkey, and leading US labs, found a way to grow much more durable, highly crystalline 2D Perovskite layers by carefully tuning the solvent recipe and crystallization process. These improved barriers held up under more than 1,000 hours of intense light, about 6 weeks of relentless simulated sunshine, retaining over 90% of their initial output. That's a huge leap forward. And here's where things truly get exciting. The library of possible 2D Perovskite materials and solvent blends is, as Tan puts it, practically limitless. Each new combination could yield a surprise, perhaps the perfect layer that shrugs off water, heat, and light. It's a molecular lottery, but every experiment brings us one step closer to that elusive jackpot, a perovskite solar cell that performs as brilliantly in your backyard as it does in the lab. Yet the road ahead isn't just about clever chemistry. Toxicity remains a shadow on perovskite's bright future. Most high-efficiency designs still rely on lead, which, if mishandled or discarded, poses environmental and health risks. One expert from the U.S. National Renewable Energy Laboratory cautioned, "Reducing lead toxicity is essential for the widespread adoption of perovskite solar cells." Lead-free alternatives are being tested, but so far, none have matched the performance of their leaded cousins. Will safety or speed of adoption win out? Meanwhile, upscaling looms as the next great proving ground. Printing a palm-sized perovskite solar device is one thing. Manufacturing flawless square meters for rooftops, vehicles, or power plants is another. Small defects, barely visible under a microscope, can hobble large area modules, and the intricate layer-by-layer assembly poses complex engineering challenges. Upscaling and proving long-term stability are crucial for perovskite commercial viability, wrote PV Magazine. The race is on to make not just a great cell, but a robust, reliable, and affordable module at industrial scale. Let's be clear, the implications if these hurdles are overcome are enormous. A new solar boom could ignite, reshaping the global energy economy. Perovskite silicon tandem cells, which stack two absorbers for maximum sunlight capture, have now cleared 33% efficiency in the lab. That's far beyond most commercial panels today. If perovskites shed their fragility, we could see a cascading drop in solar costs, opening doors for energy access in places traditional silicon never reached. And what if commercial deployment is rushed before the technology is ready? If perovskite panels fail prematurely or leach toxic materials, trust in the technology could shatter, setting back solar progress by years. It's a high-wire act. The world is watching, investors are circling, and public expectations are sky-high. There's also a wild card, emerging applications that could leapfrog traditional silicon entirely. Flexible perovskite films could power wearable electronics, implantable medical sensors, or foldable solar tarps for disaster relief. Aerospace engineers are dreaming of ultralight satellite power sources. Some researchers are even experimenting with semi-transparent perovskite layers to transform windows into subtle power generators. Imagine entire cities harvesting sunlight through their glass. But every new use case demands unwavering stability and safety. The tiniest flaws or leaks could spell disaster, not just for an individual device, but for perovskite's reputation worldwide. So what does all of this mean for you right now, as someone curious about the next big thing in energy? First, it's an incredible reminder that innovation isn't a straight line. The dazzling efficiency numbers you see in headlines are just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath lies a hard, uncertain grind, solving 100 physics and chemistry puzzles before a single perovskite panel reaches your rooftop. When you read about breakthroughs, peek beneath the surface. How stable is the device? How big is the sample? How rigorous were the tests? Second, keep your eyes open for early adopters. The first perovskite products to hit the market may appear in niche roles, portable chargers, solar backpacks, or specialty building materials. Companies will likely start with applications where failure is low risk and performance needs are specific. Watch out for pilot projects in buildings, transport, or even space. If you're a scientist, student, or engineer, the field desperately needs fresh minds. The universe of possible perovskite configurations is almost infinite, and cross-disciplinary thinkers, those who can blend chemistry, materials science, and engineering, are driving the fastest progress. Think beyond the one right answer. Sometimes the next breakthrough is hiding in an unexpected combination. If you care about the environment, pay attention to how perovskite manufacturers address the lead question. Demand transparency about recycling plans, encapsulation technology, and real-world testing. The lessons from early solar power rollouts are clear. Public trust is hard-won and easily lost. By asking tough questions now, you help shape a safer, more sustainable future. And if you're invested, literally or figuratively, in renewables, understand that perovskite won't immediately sweep aside silicon or other emerging technologies. Instead, expect hybrid solutions, tandem cells pairing perovskite atop silicon, or flexible perovskite skins boosting older panels. This transition will be layered and evolutionary, not a sudden revolution. Here's a secret that few headlines will tell you. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come not from the most dazzling new material, but from rethinking the overlooked details. In perovskites, seemingly minor tweaks, like swapping the order of solvent drops, skipping a dopant, or choosing a different transport layer, have yielded giant leaps in stability and efficiency. The secret sauce isn't always a hidden element. Sometimes it's patience, persistence, and the humility to challenge assumptions. As one materials scientist put it, developing robust whole transport layers is just as critical to long-term device performance as tinkering with the perovskite crystal itself. In other words, every layer counts. Even the so-called supporting actors can shape the destiny of the star. So, to the big question, will researchers and industry overcome perovskite's vulnerabilities, or will their inherent weaknesses stall the solar revolution? The answer, at this pivot point in 2024, is both hopeful and honest. Perovskite science is moving at breakneck speed. New advances in robust 2D interlayers, dopant-free architectures, and tandem designs are closing the gap between promise and reality. But no one, not even the most optimistic expert, can guarantee we're just months from victory. It will take relentless collaboration, rigorous testing, and uncompromising integrity to prove perovskites can stand the tests of time, weather, and scale. Yet the winds are favorable. Every month brings news of more durable prototypes, creative manufacturing strategies, and the first glimmers of commercial pilot lines. The odds of perovskite panels reaching mainstream rooftops and devices within this decade are better than ever. The dream of a true solar revolution is very much alive. So, are you ready to be part of that story? If you're inspired by the science, follow the latest research, or join a project in your field. If you want smarter energy, ask product manufacturers how they test stability and address environmental impact. And if you simply want a glimpse of tomorrow, keep watching. The race for the perfect solar cell is entering its most thrilling phase, and what happens next could reshape energy for a generation. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the future of perovskite solar cells. If you enjoyed this episode, smash that like button, subscribe for more stories at the cutting edge of science, and drop a comment. Are you optimistic about perovskites, or do you see bigger risks ahead? Your voice helps steer